Hello, my good friends. How are you, each and every one of you? I just got back from my vacation and I missed you all. Although I do keep in contact in another way. So I hear there's all kinds of goodies happening, all kinds of people growing and getting their health back, and that's exciting. You all are so great. I just hear nothing but great news from all kinds of places. So it's exciting, isn't it, to be part of a change of the consciousness of the planet. And it's essential, obviously. Just look around at this, you know. It's almost getting to where that is one positive, one negative, one positive, one negative. And that's an interesting place to be. And I thought about this, you know. When things are in balance, even in chemistry, it's still not. It's you can see why that it's better to have a little more positive focus than negative focus. I think this is why you see the alkaline or base side of chemistry dominating. Even at 50-50 would not be compatible to life. You need a predominance on one side or the other, and you can see that antagonistic move there. I know there's always controversy, always is, and I know while I was gone there was this issue on Facebook, and you beautiful Facebook people, the whole staff wanted to thank you for coming in and dealing with that. You know, and I thought I would take a few minutes and kind of use that as kind of a training, because you practitioners are going to always get calls from people that are hurting so bad that their mentality and their emotions are whacked out completely. And this particular case, I think, was involved in an individual who had swelling of the spinal cord and swelling in the brain. We talked about this in other videos, that we're seeing more and more and more of this pressure and this swelling, and of course brain tumors, neck tumors, throat cancer. I mean, now this is where you see it's moved to the top of the mountain. Years ago you just didn't see as much, but now, holy moly, the pressure and all of this. When you have an emergency like this and you've got swelling, you're trying to think of everything you can do to help this individual, because you know medically there's just nothing out there. You know, they could probably blow the ears and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, this is lymphatic pressure. This isn't blood pressure. This is lymphatic pressure. Add that to blood pressure, high blood pressure, and oh, my God, the poor person has a lot of, you know, I can see why people threaten to kill themselves all the time like that. And so anything you can do, from candling the ears to hot and cold compresses back on the cerebellum, use the neural lymphatic points. Let me tell you, they really, really work well. Use those neural lymphatic points down the back of the spine. Review that video. Very, very helpful. I even recommended Mucinex, how bad that is, but it's still a great expectorant from all the reports I hear. Still a pharmaceutical, but you know, I'm going to have to settle into the fact that in today's current world, some pharmaceuticals are going to be essential for a little while until we get the level of chronicness down. Homeopathy is going to have to really kick it up and move into that place pretty well, that treatment-based thinking, you know. And so anything to help a person to open up is essential. You know it starts with blockage in the kidneys. You know that you have to fix that to get a true remedy. You've got to get those kidneys filtering. That's why it's so important that that one looks at their urine and really looks for sediment. And this is really how you separate that and learn how that the body filters. And as soon as you see that, then you can get that pressure out for good. But boy, I tell you, excuse me, a lot of people suffer from that, and some people go off like crazy. You know, this individual, you know, a lot of people don't know what goes on behind the scenes in cases, you know. This particular case, the lady was given several $1,000s worth of herbs, given hours and hours and hours of advice and help, and this is what they turn around and do, you know, things like that. And I just look at that and say, you know, really, this is a hurting soul, and if this individual doesn't apply themselves, they're in serious trouble. That's all I can say. When you have a high pressure and it's an acid pressure, nothing ever good comes from that. Strokes, suicides, things like this. And so one really works hard to help people, but sometimes, remember this, for you practitioners, and I know all of you are running into this, is this sometimes, people just don't hear. You tell them what to do and they never do it. And then they come back and gripe and bitch because they're not getting well, but they don't do what you tell them. They don't eat the way you want. This individual, I said, you need to go on a grape fast or a water fast right now. Well, that makes my skin break out. You mean you haven't been on this already? That was told you months and months ago. So you see, these are the sort of things that you run into, and there's nothing you can do about it. And don't take it to heart because this person or that person makes these accusations because they're just wigged out. But it's sad to see that happen because this person then lost their ability to get help from us because you can only take so much from people like that, and then you have to cut. And that's another thing. Don't be afraid as a practitioner to cut the tie on someone that you're just trying and they're just not doing your programs and not listening to you dietarily and everything else. Cut them. Each one is their own individual soul down here, and each one has to tread their own journey. And that's the whole thing spiritually, that you realize that even though everything is an individual, we're all one. And that's where you feel as a spiritual person, you feel that person inside and they're hurting. And you just want to address that soul and say, hey man, try to power over the emotions and the mind and get down that road. And, look at the consciousness on this planet. That's the problem. The problem is that she didn't have a remedy, or that person did not have a remedy for probably several years. And so this stuff builds, and they go to medical doctors, and they go to different physicians, and not just the medical, they go to naturopaths too. And if you don't know detoxification, you don't know the lymph system, and you don't know acidosis, you're going to be out there in the cold as a practitioner. And that's what sets each and every one of you above. There's one of our guys that are on the lam here with a 4-year-old, and I've been talking to Child Services in California. And, people are getting obviously fed up of taking their children to this slaughterhouse of chemotherapy. There's no question about it. And so people are running with their kids. And I've been talking to them about that. And she just wonders, how much training do our folks have? Because this dad has been to our school. And I started to say, well, if you're looking for extreme academics like the medical profession, I said we don't have that. We don't need that because healing is simplistic. It might take a little time, but it's simplistic. Look at the extreme education that most medical doctors have to go through just to understand they can't cure anything. That's a sad thing. Now, separate those fine surgeons out there that know how to go in and do some neat things. I tell you, those guys are pretty cool. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the treatment of symptoms with pharmaceuticals and the lack of understanding of why those symptoms are there in the first place. And that's vital. Each and every one of us must understand the simplicity of why we suffer and the simplicity to turn this around. We make so much of all this that the average person's confused, and states are willing to subject children to a #1 killing machine out there. I mean, it's all in the statistics. I've had a long conversation with this young woman. Of course, she's probably got supervisors and everybody else behind her listening in and stuff like this. The lady is compassionate. It's obvious. She's younger. And I hope she has children and learns from this that we all need to work together, and that was my take. All work together. If you've got a serious case, have a medical doctor that's willing to work with you, because if we need blood transfusions, platelet transfusions, whatever we need, they can accommodate while we're rebuilding that individual, no matter what the problem, whether it's a spleen, whether it's a bone marrow, whether it's just cleaning tumors out of them, things like this. And that's the point. If we all work together, this concept of creating a monopoly of the medical profession, which, by the way, last year killed over 1 million people, that's got to stop. because parents are going to, and I told her, I said, parents are going to start filing criminal charges against child services and states for making them subject their children to this. And it reminds me of that little baby the other day where the parents didn't like what the hospital had to say, took him out of that hospital and put him in another hospital, and the cops still came and arrested that baby. Those cops should have been arrested themselves. You know, you just can't keep taking people's babies away, and for the sake of this monopoly. So I'm hoping that as we grow, and that's why I think you guys are so important, and the importance of each and every one of you spreading out and helping others, and those people helping others, the buddy system. And we change this consciousness on this planet. And then it might be a cool place for the bus to stop for a while. Who knows? Well, I'm so far behind on your questions, I'm going to make a big stab at it. So this could be a rather long video, and I apologize. But we'll try to have Chris cut it up in segments or something, and maybe every hour. I can cut for a few minutes, and then he can cut it these hour segments or something. But I do want to get to your questions. You're really asking some great questions here, and I really want to get to that. But it's sure good to see you all again, even though it's through video. This question is, what are good supplements to take for a low thyroid? I refuse to take levothyroxine. I choose to take kelp pills, B12, cleansing, eating clean but not raw. Well, here's the thing. Going back to looking at why a gland or organ, no matter what it is, the thyroid gland, the adrenal glands, the kidneys, why do these tissues get in trouble in the first place? And this is an important question to understand before you can find remedy. So understanding why is important. So in our many videos that we put out there, we have discussed the difference between the blood system and the lymphatic system, the kitchen and the sewer system. That's essential to understand that the body has a sewer system in it. It's also essential to understand, in our opinion, that the kidneys play a vital role in the lymphatic system. Vital to that. Because medically, almost everything is blood problems. And that is further from the truth. Even though it's lymphoma in your face, lymph this, lymph that. So it's important to understand these two systems. Then the other thing, obviously, that's important is to understand the two sides of chemistry, the nature of the two sides of chemistry as a rule. Basically, nothing complex, nothing complicated, not essential to get way out there. Remember, when you get too far out there, you're into the world of theories. And we are killing people at a high rate under theories. And look at oh my God, I got some grape juice from the Amish. And this gentleman, well, he was Amish. And he is making fresh Concord grape juice. It's frozen, it's non-pasteurized. But he gave me the last batch this season, and my God, my body was just sucking it down. It was so good. You can feel the difference. But he had to put a little disclaimer on the cap that this could cause serious illness because of bacteria. And I just have to laugh at this. We've got to get the understanding of nature a little more in the medical profession because people are running scared. Now you've got these new flu shots. I just wonder how many people are going to get killed from this. These flu shots that cover all the flus possible. If you didn't want to cry, you would have to laugh because this is just unbelievable stupidity. And they just don't stop. They don't stop with this. And it's just a nightmare. Man, you never want to stop expectoration. Never want to. And that's why I applaud Mucinex at least, because the manufacturers at least create an expectorant, and that's what needs to be understood. Suppressants, forget it. You need expectorants, that which allows the body to expectorate or eliminate. That's key, because most of the problem in thyroids and adrenal glands and everywhere else is inflammation / mucus. Or lymph stagnation. Lymph stagnation. Think about this. You're an individual in the middle of the lake. The lake doesn't have an in or an out. It is becoming stagnant, and you're in the middle of it. There's no fresh water moving around you, and you're into stagnation. After a while, it succumbs you, and this is the problem. The lymph system, remember, is the system that produces mucus, and it is the mucosa. And when it produces mucus, that mucus is designed to protect the body against proteins, or we use the word acids. But you could use the word proteins. Dairy proteins are the most mucus-forming foods on the planet. Then when you have a cold and flu-like symptom, what do you see coming out? Mucus. You see it out of your nose, you see it out of your ears, you see it out of the bronchi and lungs. What do you see in your stools? Mucus. When you detoxify, what do you see coming out of the body? Mucus. Mucus in your urine, mucus in your stools. Where does this all come from? It comes from the mucosa, whether it's in the chambers of an organ, whether it's in the chambers of the gut, doesn't matter. The lungs, doesn't matter. The sinuses, doesn't matter. When mucus builds up, it builds pressure, and it's suppressive. Imagine you sitting there with a thick, thick blanket over you and trying to breathe properly. Can't do it. And this begins the suppression of an organ or gland. We went over before the 4 phases that you see, or processes you see tissue go through, symptomology go through. Remember the acute phase? I was telling this story about going to the mall and drinking a little bitty malt and getting a sore throat. I created an acute scenario there. Had I suppressed that and moved that into a subacute and keep pulling in more foods that are mucus forming, I'll keep creating acute and pushing into subacute stages. After years, of course, we move it to chronic. In these subacute and acute stages, this mucus can actually hyperstimulate. Acids can actually hyperstimulate and create hyperthyroidism, hyperpituitarism, hyper this, hyper that. In the long run, though, everything goes to chronic and degenerative, and that means suppression or low function and then death, And so understanding this is important when you ask questions about what do I do for a low thyroid or a low whatever. Now add on top of this nowadays the genetic thinking of those cells. So, we're replicates of the parent cell. And so you have to understand genetics is simply memories of your parent cell and the condition they were at the time of conception. Same thing, it works itself down. You can change those memory patterns. It doesn't lock the cell into forever being non-functionable or in a chronic hypostate. To change the consciousness of a cell, you can't feed it the same dead foods that have low consciousness, low energy, in other words, chemistry that's been augmented. You can't change and enhance a cell into its higher levels when you feed it the same type of foods that are genetically breaking these down. God is energy, light, not death and low energy. The further the darkness, the more the chemistry is disrupted, the magnetics are disrupted, the more toward the dark side one goes. When you bring it into raw foods, the light, and especially for the Homo sapien, the fruits and the berries and the milk, these guys are beaming. These guys are yelling, come eat me. I am so full of love and chemistry and magnetics. I'm here for you. And when you taste them, you feel that translate, and all the cells in the body get a smiley face and go, oh, that's good. That's good. You're that energy. It's consciousness is energy. Memories is energy. It's all in magnetics. So lifting up the consciousness of a cell is simply moving into the raw state, a state that most cells are not used to. And as you've seen that when you bring that body up in a raw state, the consciousness is uplifted so much that when you try to go back, cells are going, whoa, 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 no, we like it here. And then we bring in our little partners, the herbs, sent here, grown here, particularly for tissue, to help tissue rebuild itself. There are herbs for the kidneys. They go in and they go, hey, I'm here for you. I'm going to help you cells to increase your functionability. That's why they don't get it. When you're talking about cancer, you talk about regeneration, you talk about any of these things, and you say, well, we use herbs. Herbs. They don't get the power of the herb. The power of the herb has always been there, as many know. But the herbs are designed by God for these purposes, and that's what we use them for. We don't use them to treat diseases. That's like running in the fields of dreams again. You want to focus on causative factors. If you don't focus on causative factors, you lose. So look at acidosis or inflammation. That's all it is. That's highly either irritating or suppressive and killing because acids are corrosive. And then look at enhancing. So if you have a low thyroid, you got two choices. Three, actually. One, diet's always recommended, and raw is always recommended because even though you do a clean diet, I can tell you, honey, it's just not going to be enough. Kelp, good take. More for the parathyroid, but good take. Iodine's a good take. You got the calcium, good take with that. But you either want to go to herbs, which are mostly the berries, are for the glands, so you can use a thyroid formula in the herbal line, or you use an herbal glandular, or not an herbal glandular, but a glandular. That is raw thyroid desiccated tissue. Say what it will. When you're in chronic stages, I do recommend that because those cells, even though desiccated, still have that higher level of consciousness as opposed to the thyroids that are going down here, and therefore it helps to enhance the thyroid gland. But you want to do something, but you want to detox your body. That's why detoxification has always been the golden key. They don't get it, how simple life is. They want to make it complex. Oh, but have you had 10 years of academics? 10 years of academics tends to make a person pretty stupid. You got to have common sense. Common sense is awareness. You got to be able to overview and see. Thoughts will only lose you into that field. And you see what high academics does. Some cases, we've got little TVs and new Dick Tracy watches. But that's what I would do. Everything else, I think you ought to be a little more aggressive, my dear. All right. Sunspots. I love the sun, just like you. Yeah, I love the sun. Therefore, I am not afraid of sun exposure. Only apply sun protection cream when sunbathing and not when running errands outside. I am mainly on fruit and salad regimen. Oh, cool. Recently, I have noticed quite a few sunspots on my body. Although they are quite small and did not appear overnight, I do not want them. Now, these sunspots, this is morning sun. Oh, I like that. Donovan, these could be fungus spots too. The fungus doesn't like the sun. You notice that? You put the sun on mold and it dies. So fungus doesn't like it either. These can be fungal spots. Here's the issue, and it goes right back to the same thing we're talking about. When you start popping basal cells or squamous cells, particularly basal cells, you have to understand that the sun is acidic, but your body should be predominantly base or alkaline. That gives you that harmonious effect, that sun and bathing in full spectrum light. But you notice when you get too much, it's like, okay, had enough. Some of us that were beach fans and volleyball fans on the beach, we got quite a bit. But if you keep your body alkaline, a raw foodist, but being a raw foodist does not mean that you're detoxified. And it does not mean that you're going to be detoxified. You have to get up a little higher because of the one thing that I think you'll notice and that all of you are proven is that we're good at what we do and we're good at detoxification, and you're going to be good when you understand fruits, berries, and melons are the detoxifying foods, and also water fasting. These are actually, eating fruits, berries, and melons isn't even fasting. Eating fruits, berries, and melons is simply eating the diet our bodies as Homo sapiens are designed to eat. That's all that is. Just eating the food your body's designed to eat brings it into a chemical balance and a sense of wellness, and the body kicks all this crap out because it was ingested at very low energetic levels. But if you want to regenerate even deeper, that's when you bring in the herbal puppies and you bring in the water fasting. That's a dig deeper because all life uses water fasting. Hate to tell people, but that's what all the animals do. So get your body detoxified, my friend, a little deeper and clean that skin out. Do your dry skin brushing or whatever you want in that way. Thank you. I'll say Mac. She's 63 and detoxing quite nicely. Cool beans. My age, working on getting off Synthroid. Good deal. And I'm at this thyroid. I hope that helped you with that, because it's not difficult to get off these synthetic hormones. I would think any medical doctor today would just suck up glandulars, because a good medical doctor is going to have a heart like ours. We really want to help people. We just don't know how. So now that we can teach you how, shouldn't be any ego involved here, because we all want to work together. This is not you versus me or anything like this. We're a team here on this planet. We're humans together. Enough of this killing and everything of each other. We're here together, and we got to work together. And so that's where I recommend using the glandulars, or using the kelps and the herbal formulas for the thyroid. But always detoxify. That alone is incredible, because you'll start getting the mucus, coughing the mucus out of the thyroid. Because a lot of people have nodules in the thyroid or goiters. What system is that in? Blood, lymph. That's right, lymph. Matter of fact, it's almost like a continual disc. Lymph, 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 lymph. Not blood, blood. It's lymph, lymph. The problem also with the blood is that we dump the chemistry right into it. So that's where the blood gets a little beat up. But had to laugh. My husband, age 66, wanted to get on a bandwagon with his own detox. He puts all his tinctures in a green tea, iced tea I make, which he says tastes like scotch. Sometimes you got to fool the guys, ladies. So I have no problem giving it to him. Well, give him all thumbs up for me, guys, and good work. Good work on yourselves. You know, this isn't a perfect road of nothing but good stuff. Detox can have its ups and downs, as most of you know. Ride those ups and downs. When you see a pain or you see nasty stuff coming out, yeah, be glad that this stuff is coming out of you. When you see a symptom in the body, detox doesn't cause symptoms, it brings them out. These are already weaknesses you have in you. You have no weaknesses, you sail through detox. But there's very few people that have no weaknesses. I mean, let's face it. But there are some of you guys that are very strong constitution people. Man, you guys are unbelievable. You can get super healthy. Unbelievable. Oh, thanks, sweetheart, for this. Some of you guys, I just can't pronounce your names. I'm not even going to try. Just know that I love you. Question. Someone said to me that they are fructose intolerant and take up some water in the face fast eating fruit. Can this truly be, as fructose is absorbed without insulin? Yeah, I disagree with that. With what they said there, totally. You know, you can't be sugar intolerant, because that's essential. That's carbon, and you have to do that. But astringents in the fruit, that's another beast of another color. That immediately starts cleansing. So those that are really backed up and the kidneys aren't filtering well at all, they're backed up under the skin. Under this skin is called subcutaneous. Under that, epidermis and dermis. And that is where a lot of people, that's directly right to the lymph nodes and everything else. And sometimes when you go on fruit, wham! You know, you can have hives, you can jump out. Those are real toxic people. And sometimes, guys, when you're dealing in real toxic people, slow up a bit. Give them some vegetables, you know, slow them up. And maybe go to the Fab Four, something like that, and get them down the road a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Sometimes you got people out there so toxic, you got to go way down on dosages. I had a young man in here just the other day. Poor guy, I mean, I don't even know. He's so toxic from years of chemicals. So he's just going to have to, you know, go slow and get past the point, You just never know. So you just have to explain to your clients that you just don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody has different levels of kidney weakness or filtration or not. Different adrenal glands, things like that. So you just don't know. So I like to play it safer. I like to go slower. If I suspect something like that, just listening to your clients or your friends and what they're saying about when they eat stuff, then go slower. Doesn't hurt to go slow at first, but excite them to go deeper and to more aggressive and work themselves deeper and deeper into that world. And they will never, ever regret it. No one will ever regret it. But again, nothing's perfect. But when you have people like this lady where you tell them to do something and they don't do it, and then they don't and then they come back on us like, man, if we ask you to do, we suggest this, and you don't do it, then don't come back on us because we told you what you needed to do to find your remedy. I would simply put them on green juices if they, yeah, you're right on there, hon. You're right on. As astringents like lemon. See, you guys get it. I tell you, I just love you guys. Just talking to you guys, I've never had a lot of people to talk to because not a lot of people got it. So you guys get it. And it's just a humbling pleasure to talk to you that get this. And you guys will make the best healers. I'll put you guys against 10-year med students any day of the week, against any problem out there. And it's no offense to them. It's just they're not taught properly. They're taught so much crap, the poor people. But again, it's all in the scheme of things, and it's important. Again, let's all work together, medical, naturopaths, and even naturopaths. You guys get away from medical thinking. Get away from high-protein thinking because that's not naturopathy. You were taught wrong, and you just got to break that. Get into your older books like your Eretz and your natural hygienic people, all this, and study them because that's really true naturopathy right there. And question directly for me. You mentioned a site to get audio tracks with a high rate of OBE achievement through them. As vids are down, could you mention it again? As the transsexual from before, there is no true remedy in this life anyway, so might as well change the focus for some time, at least to another body or to the all. Oh, interesting. And where to find all the new tinctures like new stronger kidney formulas you talked about or the glycerin formula. Yeah, thanks for healing the dead ones and best fruit. Love your sense of humor. You know, you guys are gonna have to keep me sharp. I'm telling you. I'm kind of wanting to kick back, and you guys are really keeping me on my toes, so I love that. You know, call into the office here, and they'll be glad to help you with all that. But, you know, you guys are really, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you all with that. And that's just what you do. You know, if someone can't handle the aggressiveness of astringents, slow them down a little bit and go slow. Same thing with herbs. If you suspect any problems, muscle test them. Go to that video on muscle testing. If you want me to do, I'll do another one. And muscle test, doesn't hurt to muscle test. And all working together like this, my God, the results are phenomenal. It's amazing. Bethany, namaste. Yeah. Hi, Robert Morrison. Go. Thanks, sweetheart. And I am fasting throughout all of January. Whoo, whoo, whoo. Boy, anxious to see how you do there, my dear one. I don't know whether it would be more powerful for me to do lemon juice, water fasting, or just distilled water. Well, you know what? This is a good question right here. And I'll say this. I think it's better to start with your foods, start detoxifying. Get some herbs, start detoxifying. Go from your fruit and vegetable diet to just a fruit diet. Keep detoxifying. Add lots of bananas and stuff like that in there. Move from the lower banana syndromes, which is the meat of the family, get up into the watery, more stringents, and then get you into a 10-day, 20-day lemon juice fast, and then go the water. Work yourself to that, and you'll have a better time at it, and you'll enjoy it better, to tell you the truth, and your body will like it better, because you're cleaning out. You're just not jolting the body into, whoa, whoa, whoa. I know that during my last winter fast, I always felt quite dehydrated on just what, yeah, that's a good question, honey. Great question. And that's the thing. Getting that interstitial fluid hydrated is so key to having a great experience in life, because that's our problem. It is stagnant like a stagnant lake. And we are having fungus problems. Of course, that goes back to adrenals and sugar metabolism, but still, stagnation of fluids, you know, and then when you get bacterium in these areas, we freak out when they're just doing their job. So that's the problem. You can see these flesh eatings. Can you imagine why? Look at subcutaneous toxicity and acidosis. You look, I bet whenever you see a good flesh eating bacteria having a heyday, I bet these people have skin rings like nobody's business. Because that's the gig here. Those that are weak, those that are toxic, nature has a plan for you. I don't know what to say. And it's to to try to keep people out of that, again, going back, we are so much worse off with antibiotics than we ever were. I mean, if you look at that and go back and look at all the deaths and look at all this and the level of chronic and degenerative issues at this point, I think you can start to see them really escalating with Jenner and Pasteur's theories. And it's just unbelievable. No consideration for the terrain, as the gentleman said, or what I call culturing medium. Oh, a variety of new vaccines to fight flu have arrived. Boy, whew, stagnation in consciousness. Whoo-wee. Dear Robert, this is Mark. Psoriasis suffer in pain. Oh, man. You know, psoriasis, a gnarly little thing, especially the most aggressive ones where you really see the ulcerations bad and the pus coming out and the high acidosis of the individual. This isn't a quick overnight issue. That's obvious. And I would say Shannon is dealing a lot with that, but kick it up. Kick it up to the level that you got to get this out of you. And it's the same issue. This is a lymphatic issue. And you got to get the kidneys and the skin to expectorate. Sometimes when you're getting the skin to expectorate, it doesn't always look good. But I would use salt baths for sure. That'll give you a remedy. We throw people out here in the ocean. Salt baths are great for that. It's alkalizing at least to the epidermis and dermis. And then internally, you're going for that interstitial hydration through kidney filtration. Getting those kidneys to start filtering is key for any condition. I don't care what they call it. You know, this young man has low platelets and high whites, and the girl said, "What do you think you would call that?" Trying to get me to name a disease. You know, and that's the thing. I don't deal in diseases. And I told him, I said, I don't deal in diseases. As long as you do, the chances of killing the kid are high. Let's see here. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. And my God, I'm saying this to you, you beautiful people out there. There's so many of you in your 30s that are suffering. It's just sad. I mean, 20s and 30s, my God. I know there's the teens too. So I can't tell you how vital each and every one of you are to this role. It's amazing. So here's a 31-year-old lad that's suffering from extreme psoriasis with pain involved. And of course, pain is totally acidosis. And this gentleman has had psoriasis since he was 25. Although now I think back, I may have had some undiagnosed tiny spot. Yeah, as early as late teens, probably did. And I was watching this on the news last night. I was going into school lunches, and now they're going to send fat letters home to inform the parents that your children are fat. And here they're showing pictures of school lunches. And here's all the starch. Here's the breads, here's the macaroni and cheeses, and here's the milks. My God. And they're sending fat letters home. I mean, this is insane. You know, and this is the problem. As the time you go through the school system, you're eating so bad just from the school system. You know, and add that on top of parents that don't know any better. And you've got some serious problems in today's world where adrenals are chronic, kidneys are chronic. You see the number of children with cancers and what they call cancers and extreme acid conditions and mutated cells. Infants. It's vomitous. And this is why we have to make these changes. Each and every one of you are so important. So try to keep your wits about you and keep working yourself to Wellville. Because I'm telling you, we've got this like Mark here suffering since he was young, and now he's really hurting. The trouble is, and Mark, yet, are you balding yet? I mean, these are other things you got to worry about is here. And where you see Alzheimer's in the 60s and 70s, you're going to see it in the 30s. It's just, it's horrible out there. He first noted, forgive me, your next sentence already tells it all. I first began to notice on the top of my forehead. So, you're already involved there, and nothing ever good's come with acids on brain doesn't create anything good. So you really want to get in and detoxify. Spots on the inside and outside of my right knee. Spots on the outside and my right leg, all the way down to just above my ankle. See what I'm saying? When you have the kidneys filtration down, you have systemic, meaning whole body. Systemic, the whole body's involved. And that's what you see. That's why when you see a hot spot of cancer in one place, it doesn't matter whether the person took chemo or not. You're going to see it in a bunch of other places. Just chemo accelerates that. But you're just going to see it wherever these tissues are genetically weaker, that cells, they're going first. They're going to become atypical first, and they're going to become cancer cells first. That's just what you see, because you see in genetic areas compromised blood and lymph flow, particularly lymph flow. Remember we talked about, Dr. Jensen talked a lot about that. Compromised lymph flow. Well, that already sets that area up for destruction, because compromised lymph flow is acidosis. And acids are inflammation until it's intracellular, meaning it's inflammation on the outside of the cell, and it's mutation when it's on the inside of the cell. That's why the cell poops. That's why the cell eliminates. That's why we're supposed to eliminate, but not just digestive waste, cellular waste. Got to understand the body's comprised of roughly 100 trillion cells, and they all eat and poop. And these two things have to be considered if you want to be in Wellville. Remember the 4 phases: digestion, absorption, utilization, which is a hormone steroid function, and then elimination. And a backed up elimination goes back and starts all these things over again. As a matter of fact, all 4 things are compromised when elimination is suppressed, or when the kidneys are broken down from high protein diets. You then lose, number 1, digestion, absorption, and then elimination, because you suppress the glands. So it's just all very simplistic, but all goes around a circle. Doesn't need a 10-year academic person. Another spot on the back towards my right hip. Genitals all over, my friend, behind the ear. So you're systemically backed up lymphatically. So you have to get the skin filtering. And by the time you see skin problems, my guess is you have a thyroid weakness on top of that. So you must address this thyroid weakness. Because you want to have check your basal temperatures under your arms and make sure you're at least in the mid 97s or toward the upper 97s. You want to be able to sweat, even though that can make things worse sometimes. Get yourself salt baths. You can use Hillel tea baths, salt baths. That's just to help the outside and maybe some absorption to the subcutaneous and to give you some. You could do mullein, marshmallow, slippery elm baths. That's very anti-inflammatory. At the same time, though, it's internal. You've got to deal with kidney filtration. Remember the beautiful kidney filtering poster we've got here? He also has psoriatic arthritis. Now, isn't that funny? They're now saying, well, you have arthritis because of psoriasis. I mean, they play with these friggin' names as diseases if it's like, oh, well, now you've got arthritis from psoriasis. It's like, excuse me? This is systemic acidosis. Everything is up for grabs. Arthritis? How about cancers? How about all that? And not to use it in the frame of diseases, holy crap. But understand, my friends, this is systemic acidosis. So anything, you lose your joints, you lose your hips, you lose your knees, you're in pain, your nervous system, you get neuropathies. All these things start taking place. Then you start, because of the body's effort to fight this, then you have the calciums and the cholesterols, then you get into strokes and heart attacks. And then edema comes in, and then you get into pulmonary edemas and swelling of the body and blah, 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 blah. All the same stuff. Simple stuff. but not always simple to get a remedy, Mark. So you're going to have to work on this one. Your body's full of it. Make sure, my friend, that you're filtering, or you're going to lose that knee. You got it in the knees, the thumbs, the toes. Suffice to say that waking up in the morning and taking the first steps is a painful one, and particularly in the morning because all that lymph is stagnant through the night. You're just laying there. Not that activity makes the kidneys filter, that's another misnomer, but at least it kind of gets things moving around a little bit, pulling these acids maybe a little more interstitial. But you got some detoxing to do, my friend. He recently had a gastroscopy. Is that an endoscopy? Because I wasn't able to swallow food sometimes. All right, so look at Mark. Well, what would make that happen? What would make the esophagus swell? Interstitial, lymphatic, constipation. That's exactly what all this is interstitial, lymphatic, constipation. And that creates swelling because it's acid. So you see how this is all tied in, Mark? It's all tied in because your lymph is all throughout your body backed up. And so got some work to do here to get that swelling down. You want to get that swelling down because they're going to go, well, maybe a little acid, a little GERD, a little of this. Come on. This is much more serious than stuff like that. I felt like the stomach was seizing up and food was getting trapped in my esophagus. They discovered I had duodenitis and prescribed me, No. Systemic, interstitial, lymphatic, constipation, head to toe. And you're also going to have malabsorption from this because it's interstitial. Duodenum, the small bowel is where you absorb most of your nutrition. And this is your lymph system in there. Well, remember, I've always said, your GI tract is the trunk of the tree. So here goes your liver. Watch your liver enzymes. And oops, there goes the pancreas. Oh, here's the spleen. That's how the blood cleans itself. So you got all these factors. See what I'm saying? So you can get systemic remedy by getting systemic detoxification. The golden key that unravels the mystery, which there is none when you understand this, of what medical doctors call diseases. You know? Before I learned about natural treatments, I tried to use topical steroids. Yeah, see, there's another problem. They use the steroids for psoriasis and acne and stuff like this, and guess what happens to the adrenals? They go down even more, and then your kidneys don't even filter more, and it's a cat chasing a tail downhill to hellville. Oh yeah, methotrexate. Oh my God, I know, man. I feel for you. You know, and this is the typical crappy treatment-based stuff that just makes people worse or in the end kills them. Sad stuff, man. So Mark's definitely a higher consciousness soul. I'm the sort of person that questions what people say to me. Mark, that's your spirituality there, my friend. That's why we're talking and why you're on this channel. Good man. Say I need an immune suppressant that was just the final straw. Smart man. You picked yourself up. All you guys, you guys were sent here to awaken and help this planet. A lot of you. You'll come in to know that here pretty soon, how each one of you are the light of God here. And even though you've had to suffer and move through your suffering to prove to the world that this can be done, you're awakening into your spiritualities, into your allness, into your truths. And you're going to see that more and more, faster and faster. And you're going to see us working on the inner planes more and more and faster. And so this is exciting. My diet before was lots of processed food, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Relocated myself to the south of France. Oh, I work as a website developer, so I have no real reason to stay in England where there is no sun. Absolutely. No offense to England. Love you Londoners and stuff, but head toward the tropics. Get that good fruit, especially if you have the means. Spend some time down there. Make that your sucre. Go down there, detoxify, get your bodies in shape, and get your spirituality. Get your mind shut up a little bit. Get your ego thrown in the corner, and let your beingness flow. And then We walk as giants in helping people and the poor souls on this planet that are stuck in the mud. Yeah. Okay. Natural color, he's doing well. His skin's getting a little better. Things going down. However, I worry that I will never be clear of this problem because it is very slow progress. No, Mark, let me smack you on the hand. No, no, no. Never say never. It might take some work, and it might take a few years because this is not just a little cold and flu-like symptom, my friend. This is serious stuff. So it could take you a few years to get this. But get it, you will. Take no for an answer. Do not. You will get this. And the lymphatic system is really interesting. I think my blood is clean, but maybe my lymph system is still. Do you think? Mark, you really got a bad lymph system. Take a picture of your eyes, my friend. Best regards to you, my friend. But take a picture of your eyes. That'll show you where you are on that scale. Oh, I don't know what this is. A self-assessment. This is aortic deformity. You know, we were talking about deformities, and this has got, here's the eyes of this individual. Let me see, this was sent to Chris. He didn't know whether it was YouTube or not, so forgive me, urgently seeking some video advice. All right, Rehart, okay. Yeah, I definitely use the heart formula. I definitely start detoxifying, and I definitely would check the parathyroid gland. In other words, do your fingernails brittle or soft? Do you bruise easy? Do you have spider or varicose veins? Do you have a little depression? Things like this show that your body is not utilizing calcium properly. So when you, and I'll say any deformity, you want to just make sure that is in place so you're utilizing calcium because we want to strengthen connective tissue. Whenever you see ganglias and deformities, remember what deforms tissue, what creates augmentation of tissue, which side of chemistry? Acids. So this is going back again to the acidosis of the human body. The human body is amazing how it creates and works around deformities. I've seen new vascular and, by the way, nerve pathways when you start getting into these higher levels. And for deformities like this, it's the only way you're going to find remedy. And it could take you a year or more on raw foods to get this. But you know what? That's what you want to do anyway, because check out the parathyroid. Make sure that's doing. That's vital for any type of augmentation of tissue, that you have the ability to pull it back straight, or you herniated, or whatever. You want to make sure you're utilizing calcium. Then go after that lymph system and trust in the body's ability to correct these things, because you're going to raise the consciousness of cells back to its original blueprints when you get higher consciousness food in the body. It's all physics, it's all magnetics, and we've discussed that before. Someday maybe we'll get a deeper discussion, as much as we can, as much as we know into that, but it's enough to say you want to be 100% raw. Now, you sent me some eyes here and a health questionnaire, and I'll do this. All right, so the individual's balding, hemorrhoids occasionally. They have a pacemaker. So, you know, I have to say, occasional headaches. Have you ever had an aneurysm? Absolutely. The bicuspid aortic valve. You know what? I would work on my parathyroid for sure. No questions about it. And I don't have the time to go through this, but I'll definitely turn it over to the staff. Now, looking at your eyes here, let's see if I can show you guys this individual's eyes. They're hazel. Now, when someone says, I have hazel eyes, what's the first thing that'll come to your mind? Blue eyes with water around the stomach and bowel region. Either sulfur, which is orange or yellow, or brown, which is chronic bowels. And this person has, I think, a little of both. I don't know if you can see this from there. But and it's hard for me to see it here. I can tell you what, you got several lymph nodes are swollen. You have a little chronic bowels. You're definitely malabsorbed. You have high sulfur, which is high candida. You have a lot of congestion in the forehead and throat area. You have a little throat weakness to boot. You've got a kidney and adrenal on the right side, a appendix that are not very happy, and a groin that's not very happy, and a hip that's going to be knocking on your door. Here's also a little gallbladder can be cleaned out. You got some iodine or something like that stuck in maybe some of the liver and some of the arm here. Go on the left side, and you see much more chronic adrenals. Kidney, okay, but still an issue. Upper femur, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Lymph. You got lymph nodes swollen. You should have blue eyes. So, I'd really, looking in the heart region, hard to see with these eyes. I don't see anything major there. Bronchial trunks, yes. So you just want to get in there and clean it. On the right lungs, the mid-lobe and lower lobe, you got a lot. You're getting some lymph node swelling in those lungs. So you just want to do the body cleaning up. Left breast, left chest area. A spleen can clean out a little bit. If this is a female, she's got vaginal uterine. If it's a male, you got prostate. Got some chemicals, iodine in the bladder. So I'd really get into my body and detoxify it and bring that consciousness up, because when you're talking about deformities is always a result of acidosis. Look at arthritis, and look what happens. I'll give this to the staff and see what they say, but look at what happens to your fingers. Look at what happens to your back, scoliosis. Look what happens under a high acid condition. The sucking of calcium out of the body and the augmentation of tissue, and that includes connective tissue of the vascular system. So you can always have these things, and these are only the true ways to get a true good remedy. Work on the parathyroid gland. You could use the Bones formula also, but then get in the body and detoxify it. Go into the kidneys, go into the adrenals. Clean those bowels out, because that case you got to. And I'll have to say, with sulfur like that, you probably have a high fungal involvement too. So work in those ways. Excuse me, and you will you get yourself well. But in deformities like that could take you a while. But what else you got to do? The way the world turns right now, not a lot of fun. So, it's gotten mad out there. So spend your time making yourself healthy and happy. That's all there is anyway. It's your journey. This is Corey. My friend Heather suggested I contact you via this email. I watched some of your YouTube videos. I got turned on to them by another friend. Oh, Katharina. Wondered if you had 2 videos on the subject. Food combining. Okay. I've been doing all fruit meals once a day. If I do more than this, it gives me blood sugar crashes. No kidding. Blood sugar crashes? Well, that we use fruits to correct blood sugar crashes. If you're getting crashes like that, that's your adrenals, and you'll want to eat probably 4 or 5 meals a day. Eat smaller meals more often. It's better for all of us anyway, but it is better to keep your blood sugar settled. But remember, that's your adrenal glands. Absolutely. Combine honey with fruit. Yes, you could. Yeah. Hilda Clark, liver cleanses. My doctor wants me to do these and says she can count on one hand the number of patients who've had problems with them, but I've heard some people with difficulty. You know what, Corey, that's a good question. You know what, I would detoxify the body for a little while before I would do a liver gallbladder flush. Use the liver gallbladder herbs, clean up the gut, get the kidneys to filter, things like this. If you have stones, they're going to start going away anyway. They're going to start melting away, because you're creating a cationic environment when you start an alkalizing process. And so you're gonna have all this inflammation back down anyway. You're gonna stop forming stones, and then do you a simple liver gallbladder flush. That's with some oil. High-grade olive oil is generally used. And I would use grapefruit juice instead of lemon. It'll make you go better. And I'd keep a little apple there just to keep that nausea down. And some of you gugglers, you can upchuck it. I'd go slow. And you could do one the sensible way. I don't use the magnesium stearates and all this. And just do it simple. We do have a Phosfood liquid from Standard Process. They claim that it helps to pull out stones, and we've seen that, so that might be, but again, that's highly acidic, so I don't know. We use it in our flushes because they said it worked. Source of glandulars, Vincent. I have chronic fatigue, thyroid, parathyroid, pineal, pituitary. Boy, you're down, ain't you? Well, you know what? On the side of that, just as a side note, I would get our gland tonic and start working. Tonics work slow like ginseng. They work slow, but boy, do they strengthen. And that's what I'd be doing. I would get a gland tonic behind whatever you're going to use. If you're going to get into the, let me see what else here. Nerve energy is about gone. Adrenals. Just gave up all caffeine, raw cacao, and all stimulants. Good man. Yeah, and when you do, you get a little crash and burn type scenario because we've all pumped ourselves up on stimulants at one time or another just to find that we crash and burn on the other side. It's like coffee enemas and everything like this. No. Stimulation. I mean, there's times where maybe a quick stimulant could help something, but by continuing stimulation, you create continued innervation. And it's like having a colonic. Too many colonics, you start getting extreme innervation. That's not how we work. We work with energy, magnetics, health. That sort of thing. We energize, we alkalize. Far better focus. And so I would do it in that way. Moving to an all-fruit diet and getting off the nuts, seeds, protein powders, and chlorella and spirulina. Smart thinking. That's just smart thinking. Thanks for the heads up on these poisons. No more palm scum for me. And that's it. Get away from that and get into the high vibrational levels of fruit. Now, I'm not taking any blame if your spirituality grows because that's what's going to happen. I mean, that's what they do. They blossom your consciousness. They quiet the mind. You notice that? Now, anybody ever been on a fruit fast or water fast? It quiets you. It makes you more peaceful, more aware. Quiets the mind. These stimulants and proteins irritate thought and make you think constantly. Your dreams are always awry. As you quiet, notice all the people are talking about lucid dreaming now, meaning you're becoming awake in your dream state, meaning because you can't dream outside of reality. I mean, that's the astral worlds that you're playing with as a rule. My adrenal glands are shot and my kidneys are barely filtering. Well, keep working, my friend. Do you have a pure source of glandulars? Well, that's these New Zealand glands. I haven't seen any pure out there as these New Zealands, and they have humane laws, which makes my heart feel a whole lot better. So on that side of that, remember, when you're raised and bred for this, there's that positive side. Nothing ever dies. When you get beyond this physical world and see that. It's just translating from one activity to another to another. However, I would use these New Zealands if you have to, just to shake everything up and get everything working. Could be you got a pituitary down, work on that, thyroid, parathyroid. And don't get too strong with all of them together. I don't know. I am saving up for some of your herbal formulas as well. Thanks for all the, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thanks, Joseph. I appreciate the thoughts there. And keep working on that, One day we get everything back. We don't have to work on glandulars. We don't have to use anything like that at all. But boy, I tell you, we're up against some strong cases. And a lot of you guys that are becoming healers out there know it. And it's just tough out there. And I don't know, it's just all life works together to help each other. I'll give my life to help another anytime. This is written. Blessings and blessings to you. Buffers. In a mineral complex like calcium phosphate, I believe it's the negative part of the compound, phosphate ions, that alkalizes with the acids in the foods we eat. Wouldn't that leave a positive charge in calcium? The kidneys would probably take care of this by neutralizing it with another base. Also, would the calcium and other useful minerals like sodium, potassium, magnesium, etc. be used by other organs of the body? Well, absolutely. I tell you, whenever one thinks about ionization and oxidation and all this sort of thing, and the ions and the positive and negative ions and all this stuff, for some that's more than they can handle in the intellectual side of this. Also, then you're also getting into some theory work. But I think that when we keep simplicity at hand and we look at and realize that all chemistry is synergistically bound with, like you said, the buffers and all this, and this is the whole thing to the FDA, get out of our field. You want to kill people with your pharmaceuticals, you go over there and do it. We're gonna bring the awareness up of not. But synergistic bonded chemistry. That's fruits and vegetables. I like that level. And then you get into the salts, like the calcium phosphates. You start getting more into the salts. And then you start seeing how everything works together, and the body takes and breaks apart as it's needed. And just as you said, depends the solution, it depends the atmosphere, it depends the ionic atmosphere of how things ionize. So yeah, I mean, I hate to get into a whole thing on that. Matter of fact, for years I was heavy into that level of thinking, and I just kind of went, okay, let's keep it simple, because my clients, when I start to see them go like this, I'm losing them. And I don't want to lose them. That's why I want to keep it simple, because no one cares. No one cares out there what calcium ionizes with what and whatever. The bonding mechanisms and of course you're getting into acidosis and those interstitial mediums of fluids and what happens to chemistry in that atmosphere. And then you got variances of pHs going on, and then in each variance of pH you have different effects with positive and negative ions. So I mean, it's too involved. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, and you'll be happier. I'll tell you, you'll be happier, and you'll free up the thought processes for awareness. And there's nothing like having awareness. Of course, some of you ask, is it better to know or is it better not to know? Because the more you know, the more you start to see what this world is really about. Yuck. In one level, I'm interested in the chemistry of foods and how it metabolizes in the body. We'll keep going, Ren. You got my blessing. Someday, I'll sit down and we'll do a video on chemistry. I'll have to really. I've got a good book written by an osteopath. He's probably passed by now. He only takes a few students in, generally medical, but a few students in his classes. And I think he's passed on. I'll bring that book and show it on YouTube. And if you can get that, it's not really a book. It's more of a binder. But in it, he gets into the zeta potentials and gets into that sort of thing and how to look at this in that ionization process. Actually, some of it I a little bit disagree with, but at the same time, that's the problem, getting into agreements and disagreements when we work with the whole foods and stuff, the proof is in the pudding. You see your clients getting better, tumors coming out, all that stuff, and that's what's really important. But I tried to figure this thing out through chemistry before, and with what we know currently in chemistry, I don't know. I'll give you this guy's name, and if you can get his stuff, you can look into how he sees it. He sees it a little differently, and he tries to show it more naturopathically or osteopathically, and why detox works and stuff like that. So really good book. I hold on to it like it's my last book on chemistry, But all right, so here is Gina. This is stomach problems. Keep on bending those ready for your faith. Your truth feels it's deep within. Thanks, sweetheart. I appreciate that. All can't be ready, and some think their issues are most important than others. I know it. You know what? You've got a lot. The one thing to always check yourself with is selfishness and ego. Try to always be aware of that and set that to the side. We have to have ego for individuality, because for some of you, and I had this conversation with a lady before, one of the YouTubers, and there's a point you can get in the now where there's just nothing. Nothing's fun. There's nothing. It's just pure intense awareness, and stuck with the body in the lower worlds, it's not fun anymore, because the ecstasial nirvanic experience of being away from limited chemistry and magnetics is where it's at. So still dealing in bodies and working in the now offers its own uniqueness. I'll put it that way. So having a little bit of self can be okay. The problem with it, though, is the ego, and you have to be real careful with that. I'm always watching, because I'm telling you why. It can slip in when you're not aware of it. It's me this, me that, and it's like, oh, and that's the problem. So you just always want to be the watcher at the gate, the gate of the mind, the gate of the self. So the ego is kept in check. Humility is always a good attribute to culture and respect, because you're getting what you need. You're getting your sukkah. You're getting the answers to your world. Take that and give it to others. Let that consciousness flow through from God. Don't be the holder of it, because sometimes it can blow your head. It can create a downward spiral. You want to be an open door, not in allowing others to sit in, but in the Godhead through you, because you are the Godhead at that level. And you just want to just be open to that eternal now. But at the same time, you still got to put on clothes, and you still got to eat, and you still got to plan a little bit. And we talked about that's how to get rid of karma. And maybe if you want more, we'll talk about that. I know every time I do a video, I look back and go, oh, I wish I'd have said this, and I wish I'd have added more to it. On the karma video we did, I wish I could have added more to that. But you just, you have to live, and you have to experience with joy. But at this level, most of you guys are giant spiritual beings sent here, and you're awakening. Some of you have been on a long journey to awaken now. The Hopi elders, the Sioux elders have been talking about this. And so you are on a journey of an awakening now, and you're done with this level of play. And it's okay to be done with this level of play. Therefore, you must be the giver of truth and light and love and justice, because this world has very little of any of those. So this is why we all bond together and become one strong voice for a very simplistic way of healing and a simplistic way of knowing the self. Don't make things difficult, you know. Now, connections, oneness. Yep. These videos are, oh, thanks, sweetheart. I love you, man. My thoughts are the healing and love and nutrition. Hang on. Hugs. One big hug for all of us. One big group hug for all of us. Because I know some of you are suffering. Try not let it to warp you too much, because we're all here just trying to help each other. You know, it's a limited amount of focuses you can do. And most of you have already been the allopathic way, and we know where that goes. So it's time for all you medical doctors and naturopaths that got lost to come home. Come home to all of us, to where the healing really is. Like I said, I had a good friend who's a medical doctor from Canada. I believe he's now moved down to the States. Came and gave me a big hug. He said, I just cured a lymphedema case. You don't cure lymphedema cases. You do when you understand the lymph system, and this guy understood the lymph system. And these are kind of medical doctors that are going to get hugs and kisses from their patients. I know this is extremely selfish of me to say this, but say this I must. Please don't ever leave. I love you. You know what? We're all bonded together anyway. We're all one anyway. This world just appears to make us look separate. But when we get that, we will no longer slaughter each other down here, and we'll all live here in peace and harmony. And this planet will become an elevated planet, if indeed that's the case. It's hard to put that out there, and because creation's already fixed, and you know, it's just awakening and helping others to awaken, because at the final analysis, the awakening process is the most important one. It's just God awakening itself. And that's all what we're doing here. We're God awakening itself at all levels to truth. Truth already is there. This is already truth. It's already the way it is. We're a Homo sapien body. We have certain foods our body designed for. There's no argument to it. You can argue vegetables, you can argue this thing, but when you really look at the truth of it, come on, you're arguing a moot point. You know, you got different vertebrates, you got different species, you got different designs of organs and glands and of teeth and everything else. And once people get with that, then it is about quality. It's about quality and toxicity. How toxic are you? And how quality are the fruits and berries are you eating? And those of you like Yaz that are in Thailand, and some of you guys that are down in Costa Rica and stuff, God bless you. Wish I was there. I'm there with you in spirit, as we say, but wish I was there physically. I mean, the flavors of these foods. But we do what we can do, you know. We do what we can do. And this is from Matt Oh, this is from Matt Botanical, sent to Wednesday. Shannon, all right, what do we got here? Dear Dr. Morrison team, first thank you for thanks. Appreciate the thought. We always appreciate it. All these guys work so hard back there, you wouldn't believe it. And they like pats on the back because some people get ratted out. You got some people that call in here and they demand their stuff out now. They deserve to get their stuff out ahead of everybody else. So they deserve this. And I'm looking going, what? I mean, that's the problem. You'd be surprised at those people that have this. And it's like, come on, man, get rid of that. You know, we're all here as one being. And no one's above another. I don't care who you think you are. Today I write to you for counsel to cure a severe nut allergy in my little 3-year-old niece. All right, so number one is get away from all nuts, and of course peanuts are not even a nut, it's a legume. So definitely when you see allergies, even in nuts or any other thing, go to the lymph system and get the adrenals up. So you're going to go, the 3-year-old you already know has adrenal and kidney problems already. You don't even have to guess. Just assume, and you'll be right on point. So you know immediately this little 3-year-old's got a bad lymph system, or one that's backed up, I'll say. And you want to get this clean, get the lymph nodes clean, get the steroids up. So then, if she does have some nuts, she doesn't have an allergic reaction to that. Essential, because that's what you're dealing with primarily is the adrenal glands and the lymphatic system. Get that cleaned up, and you'll save not just an allergy, but the hell that this little girl's going to go through with a lymph system that creates allergies. Or you could give her a bubble to live in, like the little boy in the bubble, Guinevere. That's cute. I have not seen this addressed in your videos. So let's look at that. Allergies is always of the lymphatic system. So you're going to be allergic to a million different things. Notice that? Matter of fact, as she gets older, she'll start being allergic to a million different things. And then they take you through all these little tests, and are you allergic to this and this? Oh, you're allergic to beef, don't eat beef, and allergic to chicken, you don't eat chicken. Oh my God. Life is simpler than that. And the torture on the little 3-year-old, and the trauma, and her thoughts of medical after that. You know, so it's much simpler than that. Go after her lymph system. You might have to be careful with too much fruits initially because she might have a really backed up lymph system. You know, go after the endocrine glands. So you and a little 3-year-old do a Fab 4. Do a kidney formula, do a lymphatic formula, do an endocrine gland or adrenal formula, maybe a little parasitic formula at first. And then clean her up. And after a while, go into stomach and bowels and clean that up. And start getting those kidneys to filter. Start cleaning that little child up. Moving her diet to predominantly fruits, berries, and melons. She's going to love them anyway at 3 years old. And vegetables, you know, stuff like that. Vegetable sticks, celery sticks, carrots, whatever you like in that way. Or cucumber sticks, things like this that are more veggie fruits. And work with her that way. And slowly clean her up there, and you'll pull her right out of this. And any future nightmare from health. The details of her case are as follows. Remember, had an extreme reaction to a tiny bit of peanut butter. Yep, peanuts. You know, that is a big food for allergies, I can tell you. And again, they're not nuts, they're legumes. And legumes, anything that grows on the ground or below the ground, starchy, not fit for man. Even the carrot is okay. Remember, we talked a lot about the old days when we fasted in carrot juice. Had I known and wasted my time with that, I'd have fasted on grapes. But, you know, that wasn't the thought of the day. So that's how you learn, though. That's how we've learned what works and what doesn't work, to be honest with you. Poor Jensen wasted months fasting on carrot juice with prostate cancer when he could have done it with grapes. But that was the thought of the day. Touched her lip at 2 years old. She didn't even swallow it. She nearly pulled away, but a bit had touched her lip, and that was enough to set off a severe allergic reaction, swelling, redness, difficulty breathing. Absolutely. You know, and this is the sort of thing you get on her lymph system and get her adrenals up and her kidneys filtering. And as you clean that lymphatic system, her cup won't be full. You know, you become allergic to something when your cup is full. And talking about chemistry, you know, certain chemistry that we find in different foods also come in other forms of foods. You know, proteins and things like this that this little girl probably can't handle either. So again, these are acids, these are proteins. detox this little girl, and you'll find that she'll get beyond this. And I would do that sooner or later, because you're going to find then bee stings, and then you're going to find this, and then allergic to this, and allergic to that, and then she's going to have hell bill to pay. So get on her adrenals and things like that. Epinephrines, and you might keep those around, because it sounds like her little lymph system is bad. Her diet now consists of raw juices, fruit, pasteurized rice milk. Ditch the rice milk. She's 3 years old. Get her out of the consciousness of milk. Ditch the rice milk. If you want to give her any milky anything, coconut water. Get out of the rice milks. That's still a starch. Get out of almond milks. It's still a protein. Get out of this type of thinking. These aren't healthy thinkings. They're sold as healthy thinking. But still, these are concentrated proteins, and lungs should be allergic to that. So our little bodies can't handle concentrated foods like this. Concentrated starch or concentrated protein, that's for sure. But better than dairy, get rid of all of that crap. Cooked root vegetables, quinoa, which is another starch, grain, sunflower seeds, and other processed things like veggie hot dogs, rice cakes. Boy, if I was you guys, I would turn this whole child around. I would get more raw, more veggie sticks. If you got to use anything, then maybe, and I don't know how she's going to deal with corn, because, but get a dehydrator and make corn chips and make things out of natural whole foods that she can, or get dates and put coconut on dates and things like that. Use more figs and dates and bananas and things like that to help this girl. Don't get her hooked on she has to have these other things like veggie hot dogs and stuff. It's all crap. It's just, get her thinking about raw foods and salads and bowls of fruit, and you'll turn her around quicker and better. I'll tell you that. She now has no dairy or meat. That is perfect. However, as an infant, her primary food was pasteurized cow's milk. That's what I'm saying. This poor girl's lymph system is really backed up. So you want to get after the adrenals, the kidneys, and get her lymph system cleaned. And you're probably going to have her go through some cold and flus and high fevers as you do it. Little 3-year-olds, they love 104, 105, pre-warn you. And if she gets up into fevers like that, cold washcloth, nap and neck, cool her down, cool baths, keep it down to about 102, 103. The little kids love to go up there a little higher. But she's got to detox, and you got to clean her out, or she's going to then become allergic to the soy or the rice, and then it's just going to go on and on and on. Well, she wheezes. She's got preventive inhalers. Yeah, excuse me. You might have to use it, keep an herbal antispasmodic there as well. That's like an inhaler. It's an antispasmodic. Keep some Benadryl there too. I don't know. That you've got to work this little girl out of that position she's in, and she's on a diet not to do that. So break her away from this diet and get her more interested in fruits and berries and melons and salads and veggies. And maybe steamed veggies and, like you said, roots and things like that way, and work her out of that. Use a Fab 4 or something, small dosages, she's only 3. In both parents, there are lung and allergy issues, and the mother has a vitamin D deficiency. Well, here's the thing, she came from the parents. They have kidney and adrenals. This, 3 years old. We've been discussing this for a long time now. Most of you are already hip to this, that at 3-year-old today in this world, major kidney and adrenals, more at the chronic levels and above. So really, really, really take a look at that and get this little girl back in a state of health, or her life was going to be hell on through. This one little 4-year-old, I just feel sorry for the parents. They're YouTubers and everything else, and just trying to save his baby, Ooh. But he knows iridology, and he saw a chronic level, because this is a spleen case. When you have high white blood cells and low platelets, that's spleen. If you have low whites and low reds, that's what you don't want. And the low reds and the low platelets and the low whites are going to be the bone marrow probably. That's the worst case. And he told me, he said, I think I see a chronic lesion in her spleen. Smart guy, but how do you tell that to child services? You know, that this father knows just what the kid is and working on it. Of course, when you detoxify, the white blood cells can go a little higher. That can freak them out. So that's why I say we all need to work together. Medical, naturopathic, and at this level, naturopathic, and child services. Don't just take these kids and give them chemo and kill them. Matter of fact, I've heard there's a turnaround. Parents are starting to sue and going after criminal charges for that. So, as I said, can you help us with this food allergy? Absolutely. They certainly appear to be on the rise from our research, absolutely everywhere. And then it's not about vitamin D, it's about lymphatic systems. The more the cup is full lymphatically, the more inflammation, the more acidosis, and these are proteins, the higher the allergy problems. Detoxify that child, get the adrenals and kidneys filtering, and you won't have an allergy one. And, by the way, get the kid outside once in a while. Make sure the endocrine glands, you can give her the endocrine gland for me. Make sure her pituitary, her thyroid, everything is up. Because you definitely want her thyroid and parathyroid. She's growing, so you want her parathyroid for sure. She'll have growing pains and things like this because she's not getting enough calcium to grow properly. Absolutely. We want to understand the cause and cure this? Absolutely, no problem. Thank you, Carol, for this sort of thing. Good case to work on. Little 3-year-old, challenging for you in terms of detoxification because of the high fevers they tend to do and all that. But detox you must. And enhancing the adrenal glands you must. You need the steroids and neurotransmitters. All these things will help you in this case. And then you'll pull this case. We have tons of these cases. You'll pull them right out of that. Yes. Hello there, yes. I was wondering if you could help me out. I am working with a woman in which case the answer to the following question would help me in explaining some things to her. Okay, let's see. I was wondering if you knew what Dr. Morse's take was. Oh, you were asking, Jennifer B. I know I was something to do with, let me see. The woman, let's see, take on why many women are more prone to osteoporosis and bone loss during postmenopausal. Well, you know, you really see the glands tend to take a dump after menopause. You notice that? It's like the ovaries aren't needed because you don't need the estrogen, you don't need the cleaning of the uterus as much anymore. It can be done systemically, so you don't need the estrogen and the progesterone. So suddenly, that spillover isn't there. So then when you look at the adrenals, most women have weak adrenals. Now you see low estrogen levels or low progesterone levels. Of course, when you see women that have a lot of hot flashes go right to the thyroid gland and the parathyroid gland, well then you see most people are acidic. And then you start to see all this come crashing down. This isn't just a postmenopausal, that's the problem. These are also long-term issues of acidosis, the adrenals, and things like this, because when a woman has estrogen and progesterone from the ovaries, there is a spillover. There's no question about that. When that stops, there isn't the spillover. Now you're looking at what the adrenal glands are. And I can just tell you, you start to see this. Remember, estrogen is an acid. Progesterone is what keeps that acid in balance. And a base balance is key to maintaining healthy bones. So you can actually go all this way, Yas, all the way up to the parathyroid gland, and that's when you see postmenopausal. Now, you could take this one step further and go up to the top, the pituitary gland, which obviously is involved in menopause and the stopping of menopause. That's where you get the FSH. That's, of course, where you get the TSH and the PTH. So you actually could see a pituitary slumber with that, which would then translate into thyroid and pituitary. But when I see postmenopausal women who are having the symptoms, they have low thyroids, low parathyroids, and that's where you see the osteoporosis is acidosis of the human body. Hasn't anything really to do with estrogen and progesterone, except, in my opinion, too estrogenic, too acidic, inflaming more interstitial inflammation or acidosis, therefore causing more calcium loss by the body's effort to rectify that. That would be my take on that. So what you would want to do is always get into the glands, back to the glands, back to the glands. And of course, if you're seeing osteoporosis or any of that, move those lymphs. Because if you don't move lymphs, I don't care, postmenopausal, menopausal, not. You're not bone loss. This isn't going to do with estrogen progesterone from the ovary. That is a whole nother factor. And you might have some stimulation of the thyroid from that, but I don't see how, only from the pituitary down. James, and how you doing, yes? James, did you ever end up suing the FDA? Yeah, we're right there. We found that they haven't quite got rid of them, but we're building our cases. I hate to say this and give our hand away, but we are building our cases. I've been wondering for a while, yeah, we're building our cases because we haven't heard. They're not really shoving anything down our throat, but we're building and building and building. And another thing I would like to build is those parents who the child services have taken their babies, subjected them to chemo, of course, and then death. And that's these are tens of thousands of babies are being killed. So that's another one. And it's just on and on. And you know, the thing is, this world makes us even thinking that way. You know, sometimes you get tired of living in a world where everything is such a challenge and there's so much ignorance in governments and monopolies and things like this. I mean, they think that's the id. That's the ego. And the ego always crashes in on itself. That's why I say stay away from that, because it always crashes in on itself. And that's what's about to happen. All these people that think they're better than everyone, the World Health Organization, who's trying to eliminate half the race on the planet, if not more, 90% according to their previous statements. So, I mean, you've got all this criminality that's going on against the humans, and it's like, we're just souls coming in here. If you don't want to have so many people on the planet, start talking about birth control in the proper way. You know, we promoted children and things, but you know, there is a point, and I got slammed for this before on a video a few years ago, but, you know, there's a point where you got to be aware. Some women don't need to have children, and some women don't have to have 10 children. We can't have jobs for them. We don't have things. So there's a time where some souls, you're bringing them in here to suffer. And, you know, that's the problem. Look at this little 3-year-old. I mean, she's going to be suffering immensely. Remember the poor child who was born without a face. And, of course, medical loves that. She's been through 30 or 40 surgeries, and they say she'll never have a face. That poor soul's locked into that body. Get me out and get me another body. We've got to start thinking higher and understanding life at another level. It's horrible. It's horrible. I didn't break at the hour. Gene, I'm sorry I'm going through these kind of fast, but there's so many. Holy moly. So I'm trying. Okay, here's one, a good one. I'm going to get to you, Gene, here in just a minute. It says, what about healing seizures? Have you ever helped anyone heal their epilepsy? How many? But, you know, we have some tough cases. And I think I've told you about the poor young girl that's 26. She's been seizing since her first vaccination back when she was only in the months old. And she was having, 30 seizures a week or something, 50 or more. I mean, this is insane stuff. Holy crap. And this case has been hard for me to get her back into Wellville. Her seizures are way down, but it's still tough. This girl could be another year or more doing this. I mean, this is just sad stuff. Let me tell you, we are being born with weak adrenal glands, which translates into low neurotransmitters, which translates into weakened myelin sheaths. Check your nerve rings in the eyes, right? So those with herpes are getting a lot of shingles, and now you're seeing all the advertisement for shingles. But the worst case scenario is we're subjecting them to vaccinations. This world, I was telling you about a chemist that was in here a year ago or something. We were laughing about it, but he's saying there's about 2,000 known neurotoxins. Neurotoxins are those things that suppress the nervous system. And vaccination, thimerosal, was known as a major neurotoxin. Oh, but, you know, it's okay. Pharmaceutical companies, it's okay. You're privileged. You're allowed to have these on the market. So you have all these neurotoxins, and if you're right at that level. Now, add to this the amount of parathyroid weakness we're also facing. We're facing extreme endocrine gland weaknesses from the pituitary down. And you guys are learning a lot about that, and blessed to you all. But take a case where you have a parathyroid weakness, all right? So you're not utilizing calcium well. Take out too much calcium and you'll start trembling. You'll start seizing. Also magnesium and manganese. There are these other factors. That's going back to the adrenal glands and the utilization of your other chemistry, steroids. So you have a steroid connection to mineral utilization. You have a neurotransmitter connection to the myelin sheaths. You have all this, the extreme low blood pressures. So little things like neurotoxins, surgeries, propafols, and all these things are creating deaths, the stop breathing syndromes, and the seizures and epilepsies. And of course, then with that, you're getting all the other central nervous system issues from the GI tract is so bad. Remember all the tumors that are up here, the brain lesions everywhere. So, one remedy, and you guys know it. You get into that body and you start cleaning out these acids. You start bringing up these adrenals so you have better steroids. Clean the bowel walls and get in interstitially where you're getting absorption of nutrients. Then you got with the adrenals the utilization of nutrients. You get the parathyroid up where you got the utilization of calcium. You get the neurotransmitters up where you're rebuilding the myelin sheaths. Me, myself, and I like antispasmodics, herbal, to help with the seizures. Spasms, whatever you're dealing with, tremors, Bell's palsy, that. I like brain and nerve, number 1 or 2, particularly number 2. I like upper circulation to get blood moving more aggressively to brain tissue. And then I like getting the kidneys filtering and getting these acids out. And when you do those things, you will be successful with all cases from epilepsy to MS to Bell's palsy to you name it. Spinal cord injuries, all these things are relative to just what we talked about with that case. And you do those things, and you'll be very successful. Always have been. Always have been. Now, Gene, my dear, thanks for your thanks. I thank you all. We appreciate your love and support because this is a tough field. It's stressful as all get out. I mean, I'm stressed to the max, that's for sure. We just have so many people. And someone asked about my emergency phone number here, and that was Lysandra Grade. Lysandra, I don't mind anybody. My emergency number is on our answering machine, but I ask you not to use it unless you're an emergency. If you're a practitioner and you have an emergency, by all means. But if you have cases you need help on, call the clinic because, stressing out is a horrible thing, and we just have so many. And this world is a stressor. Notice, and I'm battling federal corruption here, state corruption here. Holy crap. It's a mess. And you got to try to keep your peace and try to keep your center. And the love you have for everyone gets twisted, and you just want to cry because it's just the butchery we're going through on our fellow man here isn't good. It just isn't good. The use of chemical weapons, what are you thinking about? This is the United States thing. This is a world thing. UN should have popped him out years ago. We don't kill people with chemical weapons. Holy crap, this guy's a bad soul. Yeah, there's a little prison I know of where he's going next, and let me tell you, he's not going to like that one. But you don't see those things. You don't see where souls go that are being bad here. You don't see that. This is the way the karmatic thing is. But it's unbelievable. And the world is sitting by allowing these things to happen. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. Regurgitating to me. My name is J-F. So Gene. I am a 38-year-old male from Montreal, Canada. 10 years ago, I went through very stressful times plus emotional turmoil, which took years instead of lasted for a few years. Wow. Wrecked your adrenals, huh? I had to learn to deal with it basically, so constant mental and emotional stress and exhaustion. Whew, equals depression, I guess. Yeah, the survival here, and don't take me wrong here, please. Survival now means you can't care. And that includes with your mate or anyone else, unfortunately. You just can't care. When you care, you get your butt kicked. But God's taking those higher souls into the higher worlds. It's going to make you not care. It's going to rip things right from you. And you have to be willing to let go, or it's going to rip you. It's going to rip you until you let go. This federal issue ripping me because it's just the corruption is so deep. There's no law in this country anymore. I just can't care. But you've got to not care, and it's action without action. Is that what the masters say? Action without action. Because you can't care. It's not your world. And yet you do care because you're all tied to one. The suffering of one, it makes me suffer. I can't stand to see someone suffer. Kill them, okay. You know, they're out and they can go on and the karma will take care of them. But suffer? We don't have to suffer. But you just can't care, and it's going to take you to that point to where you just can't care. But you got to find your sukkah. You got to find the Godhead in you. You got to find the love and joy, because you have to not care, but you also have to be happy. Even since then, I have had trouble sleeping. I hardly ever have restful and deep nights of sleep. Falling asleep is next to impossible. I have done a lot to help this, from herbal tea, melatonin. Well, melatonin, of course, the pineal. And if your lymph system is so backed up from all that stress, shutting down your adrenals, you're going to notice your lymph system backing up. And if it's backing up in the head, you're going to see the suppression of the pineal gland. I'd use a glandular as opposed to melatonin. I really would. At the same time, detoxify yourself. Bring that love and consciousness from nature. You know, the herbs are full of love. You notice plants, they don't judge. They're full of love. The fruits are so good when they're grown properly and picked right. They're going, here, eat me. I'm going to make you happy. But, you know what I mean. And so it's just really how you change all that is to change the inner terrain. You know, and changing that inner chemical terrain, change that inner magnetic terrain, changes and elevates the consciousness. And then in the elevation of consciousness, the love comes, the oneness comes, and then you forgive. And not forgive because anybody did you wrong. Nobody does you wrong. They only do you wrong as much as you let them, and as long as you care. You don't care, and that's the problem. You get down here and involved, and you start caring. So it's action without action, doing without doing. These are the old masters' techniques. Jesus even talked about it. Buddha talked about it. The Eck masters are big on it. You know, learning to give love and assistance, because it's part of you. All life is a part of you. But you can't care because it's in creation, and this is the drama. This is the soap opera. Sometimes it gets pretty bad. The only thing that seemed to help is a little magnesium. Well, that's your nervous system again. See, and you got to go back to the adrenals, you know, because that's where you utilize magnesium, but that's also relaxing to the nerves. But if you pump magnesium, you lose your calcium. So you can't play that game. Playing chemical games only ends you into nightmarish problems. You know, you bring one forth, you push another back. All chemistry is ratioed and synergistic. And if you bring a cousin forward, you're going to push somebody back. There's no room in creation to bring everybody forward. From ancient minerals, sea salt. But if you do a salt, do a real or Celtic or Himalayan salt where you have full body chemistry, not sodium chloride or magnesium chloride or anything like that. It seemed to help my heart, because sometimes at night my heart was pounding so hard that again, get your adrenals where you have the utilization of your chemistry, clean up your bowels so you have absorption of chemistry, and if you have to pump any more additional chemistry, then you get into your superfoods or you juice your greens like alfalfa. Wheat doesn't have the chemistry alfalfa does. Get into the alfalfa plants. Get into the kelps. The kelp is a high plant for calcium, magnesium, and iodine, by the way. And so that's all a win-win-win. You know, we're probably going to have to go to the sea anyway, and poor thing's getting pretty bad there. But Point is, get into your body and detoxify it and make it healthy. Go for the health of the human body, not the treatment of your symptom. That being said, 2 years ago I had a tendon in my forearm partially rupture, micro tear, which working I am a chiropractor. Okay, you're a chiropractor, man. Parathyroid, take a look at that, and interstitial lymphatic constipation. Take a look at those two things, because that's why you see the acidosis and the weakening of connective tissue, tendons, bones, etc., etc., etc. And of course, that's also the irritation also. And then go to the adrenals for neurotransmitters. So you have the parathyroid, go to the adrenals, make sure you're filtering, get utilization up, and then get this tear fixed, because it won't go away. The inflammation won't go away because it's acidosis, systemic acidosis. Getting your adrenals and kidneys to turn on and filter will start pulling and cleaning the utilization of chemistry from the minerals of the mineralocorticosteroids, and then of course go to that parathyroid gland. If you have to go up, because the suggestion is you're not sleeping well, that would pull me to the pituitary. If you got hair loss, look at your pituitary, because that could be hunking down on thyroid, parathyroid, and get that inflammation out of the head as well, because you're going down that road and you're using your tissues, creating additional acidosis, and you're not removing it. That accelerates these micro tears and everything else. Absolutely. Then I broke one of my fingers, was surprisingly not so hard hit. Okay, so this is what we're into, bro. We're into parathyroid here. And that everything you're saying makes sense. So I would hit the pituitary and the parathyroid together with glandulars. Get the New Zealand ones. They're a lot stronger. Though those standard process, they don't even guarantee organic anymore. We call them up. Tell us. Well, we can't. That means they're using commercials. So no. Start getting in that. You want to know the brand, call in. They'll tell you. Brenda will tell you the company. Get in on that. And get this parathyroid up, because it sounds like your endos are taking a crash. I think about the gland tonic to start building strength in the endos, but go to causative factors. Get into that adrenals and kidneys, get your filtration going, fill the boot, fill the cup with sediment, and get all this acidosis out of these tissues. Then a few months afterwards, the same tendon ruptured again. Oh yeah, man. You're telling me just what's going on with you, bro. You really are. Absolutely. Seems to me that my body's falling apart. That is systemic acidosis, interstitial acidosis, and that goes right back to kidneys and adrenals primarily, and then the effect upon all the tissues, all the way up to the pituitary, the pineal, the parathyroid, thyroid, suppression of that. So look at your eyes, see if you see a lesion in the pituitary area, but I would just pop up that pituitary. Remember, get those sinuses drained, clean up the gut, really go after detox aggressively, and you'll see what you need to do to your patients too. But you need to get your parathyroid up here and stop this, because this nothing good ever comes of this, man. No sinus problems and nose or any congestion in these areas, although I don't have my tonsils nor had no. You know what? And this lady, and this goes back to this lady that was on the Facebook talking about that. Because you can breathe and you don't feel sinus, let me tell you, just because you can breathe and you don't feel lung, when you start breaking up interstitially, you will see sinus. A good place, a good port, a good eliminative port, unless you have a tweaked or a deviated septum. And then sometimes you drain in the back. So you really want to get that body drained and lymphatically. I'm telling you, who am I talking to? Gene JF. Yeah, get that going that way, my friend, because you've got to do that. I once saw an iridologist who followed Jensen's work and told me that my parathyroid was weak. That was one good, right there you're on, right there. I'll have to totally agree with that. And that's why I could not sleep. No, that's pineal gland. It didn't have anything to do with it, except through the route way of calcium, which could create irritable nerve systems. You could have irritation of that, just not only from the low neurotransmitters from the adrenals, but the irritation of acidosis and the low calcium utilization. You could get it in that way. No, you want to get aggressive and clean out the body. Yeah, good, good. Keep on. Good, 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 good. That's what you want to do. Hit the path. Good man. Yeah, absolutely. I've been 10 days now, and I have noticed that my urine pH has gone up quite a bit, from the 6s in the morning to the high 7s and 8. That's because you're in the process of hydration. When that 7 and 8 starts to go back down to the 6s, you're getting somewhere. Look for sediment in your urine, bro. I mean, really check that out, because seeing that 6s with just local kidney filtration. Systemic filtration is not happening, and that's because you get the 7 or 8. You should have utilization of chemistry and then the elimination of acids. So you want your saliva to be 7 and 8, but you want your urine to be back to the 6s. So this tells me that you are filtering from the kidneys. Correlate that with your creatinine. Get your blood, check your creatinine levels. If you're filtering your creatinine, if you're not filtering, but you're just filtering the kidneys, then your creatinine will tend to stay a little low, 0.6, 0.7. When it starts climbing above that, then the kidneys are going themselves. And then you'll see, as you're seeing with the fruits, it's alkalizing your urine. That'll help heal the kidneys, but you really want to see that going back down to the 6s. Should I focus on parathyroid you could pop a Pineal for a bottle or something. I'd pop the parathyroid, take a kelp tablets with it, and I might take the pituitary one twice a day, just to hit that baby. Go after those adrenals, though. Make sure you're 120/60, and make sure that is 60 diastolically. If you're 80, take off 20 from the top and see where you're at. I would go that way. I feel weak, lack of energy, absolutely. Feel weird, check your blood sugars, because here you're in this whole scenario of adrenals, low blood pressure, low blood sugar. So have your staff check your blood sugar and your blood pressures. My guess is you're going to see them low. I would do probably more fruit throughout the day, maybe 5 meals a day, and go that way. Because these things are going to start popping up. Yeah, I deworm myself too. Deworm myself, and remember, this is the stomach is the seat of the thing. He says that even though he fills his belly with fruits in the middle of the night, I still feel like a mix of hunger and a tough cold. Yeah, I mean, you probably have some GI tract. To have pituitary problems, always see chronic bowels. Send me your eyes, man. Let's take a look at them there, and let's see what's going on with you. Reference chiropractor YouTube, and we'll see what we got going on here. But my guess, you're feeling this in the stomach, and that, that's the sort of thing when you get too acidic in the stomach, where you feel hungry even after you eat. And this is because that's that nerve, that parasympathetic nerve ganglia there, and you're really that nervous system thing. So yeah, absolutely. You'll get through that though, and you got to get through that doorway. I have to tell you that. Move through that doorway. Get the stomach and bowel formulas. That's why I like how we design these kits, because they get in, they start working on all these tissues simultaneously. You get a lot more done than if you just take one here, one there. Go at it as a program, and then you'll see. And then we're designing these 14-week protocols to totally fit with what we're doing now. And so again, love to you, J.F. Boyer, D.C. Good chiropractor. Love you, man. I love good chiropractors out there, especially those that help heal themselves and they really get it, and then they can help their patients not only with keeping that spine, but understanding that that's also why you lose the spine. Sebastian. Always like that name. Excuse me. Sebastian. How to tell when your kidneys are filtering properly in sediment. I keep seeing Dr. Morse's show the pic of the results of the kidneys filtering and the sediment in the glass. But do you have to pee in a cup or jar? No, you can look in the toilet. And as I said, as a male, you want to see your urine head toward the bottom of the toilet. Then you've got chemistry in there. If not, it'll bubble up and look just like the water. You're not filtering when that happens. You want to see robust chemistry go sinking to the bottom of that toilet. With a jar, though, you'll see it immediately, because your urine will be full of sediment and what labs call mucus threads. And if you let it sit there for a half hour, an hour, all that will settle to the bottom. And that's what these pictures are showing you, the sediment that's settled at the bottom. I am seeing a Dr. Morse certified detox person in Canada, but he is on a vac and was wondering if it's okay to jump from one kidney and lymphatic 3 to each. Yeah, play with those. That's what I'm saying. I'm always in one big laboratory experiment. Which formula works better? Which was more powerful? Because I think in the end of the day, the future on this planet is far from pharmaceuticals. That's going to be a nightmare. That's going to be the dark ages. Chemotherapy. One oncologist in Miami said, one day when man wakes up, and this was an oncologist, said that chemo and radiation will be considered the dark ages of medicine. And I'm telling you, we will hang our head in shame as we are doing now with the slaughter levels that's happening. It's bad chemistry, it's willful lack of understanding how the body works and how easy it is to get someone well. Sad stuff. So, I think the end of the day, herbal formulas, it's going to be who can make the best formulas. And not one ego over another. Because I listen to each and every one of you when you say, I'm using an herb that I heard gets good results. I'm listening to that. And I'm seeing if I'm familiar with that herb and I'm using that herb. The problem with formulas is I don't get to see each herb individually and see how well it works on a person. But I'm not willing to take that chance of just playing with people's health with just, well, let me see if this works. I'm just not, because I know formulas work well. And we've tried individual herbs way back when, and I didn't see the power that formulas. That's what my thing is. We all work better and become stronger as a team than ego one. So I think the herbs do the same way. They buddy up. You just have to get used to what herbs are not pulling antagonistic to each other. Sometimes that's a spiritual insight of knowing the herbs and feeling them energetically and how they work. You could use dowsers. You could use little, whatever you call them, and you could use muscle testing on the herbs. But I like the formulas, and I think, and I look at these, I was talking about Dit Jin Jiao and some of these old formulas that accelerate tissue healing. That's what we need to get into. Taking our formulas and refining them. And I hate to do that to a formula because sometimes when you refine a formula, it gets worse. I try not to be that kind of person. So I'm always looking at that. So future, I think it's going to be how can we make stronger formulas to get things done better. I'll have to say, though, we're at the chronic degenerative level. There's not much more past that. You're seeing death in the children now, death in the infants. You don't get much more past that other than lack of procreation, and you're seeing tons of that right now. Women can't procreate. Don't try. Get well first, so then when you do procreate, you have a baby that's well, and you're not in the hospital, and you're not seeing them destroy your child. So it only makes common sense to get yourself well before you pass your genes now to the others, because we are already at the chronic degenerative states. That's why medical doctors can't practice the same way. But we had a discussion about this, about how in the acute, subacute stages, pharmaceuticals were knocking these symptoms out right and left. Antibiotics knocking these symptoms out right and left. Well, they mistook that for healing. They mistook that for being something that pharmaceuticals could do. They can't do. They can't heal. They can't rebuild. They only suppress. We've got some new expectorants like Mucinex, of course. Those things are working good as what they're claimed to be, as far as we can tell. But nothing works better than synergistic chemistry made by God, or whoever you want to call the creator of these things. I have been raw fruits, little veggies for more than 6 months straight and still cannot see any sediment. That's upsetting. And that's what we see here too. We see some people start filtering within a week or two. I have some a couple of days and their kidneys break loose. And then I have others taking 6 months like this. I might consider the kidney glandular at this time, 2 kidney formulas. That's why I'll tell you the honest truth, guys, is why we're using 2 kidney formulas. It's just tough out there now. We're at these chronic and degenerative levels. You're not waking them up as quick anymore. We're even having a hard time. I used to be so confident that there wasn't a cancer I couldn't get rid of or a level I couldn't get rid of. Not using it as a disease, because no one cures it as a disease. But understanding causative factors and what mutates a cell. Easy in the older days. We are these kids, just like this 3-year-old with this allergy to peanuts. This is common out there, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And so now they have allergy things all over the place. It's the kidneys, adrenals, and the lymph system. Oh, the bowels are already gone. Now the endos are half gone. So that's what I'm saying. You guys are needed so bad everywhere. Chiropractors, naturopaths, we need to bond together. Medical doctors, bond together, and let's heal people up. Get out of this treatment-based thinking. We're destroying tissue with that. We're destroying human happiness with that. For the sake of what? Money? Jesus Christ, you can go Monopoly and get money. There's islanders that trade shells for money. It's all in what you put your power into. Just because gold shines. And paper, the world bankers are laughing all the way. And yet we have presidents. We have one now that works for the World Bank. And no question Obama works for the World Bank. Just follow his code. He's a world banker all the way down the line, doing everything right along with that. It's regurgitating. It's horrible because you can't create a one world order out of greed and money. You can't do it. You got to do it out of love and humility for each other and healthiness and happiness. And that's what you guys are doing, helping to create a new world order. God help us if they kill us all. Then the world will go crashing down, I guess. I don't know. But thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. I sometimes can get off on a tangent here. I'm in tears as I write this, but I know that the right herbs and the right diet will be able to help. Today I found a big lump on my dog's neck. Yeah, well, the animals are in trouble. I know. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Remember, dogs have kidney weakness. It's a classic weakness among canines, and I will say probably cats too. So you got to treat a cat, treat a dog, and I don't mean treat meaning treat diseases, but you've got to get into your dog and get after his kidneys and his lymph system, his adrenals, his endocrine glands. So you do the same thing. Get you a little empty bottle of the herbs you're using. Mix a kidney formula in there, mix equal parts of a lymphatic formula, an endocrine gland formula, and a parasite M, and then equal parts. Shake it up, and however many herbal formulas you put in that bottle, say you're putting 4 formulas, shake it up, and you're going to give that dog how many dosages. Say you're using a half a dropper full. It's a big dog. You're using a half a dropper full for each one. So you're going to use 4 half a dropper fulls into this dog's mouth and start cleaning him. Get a dog. A dog can become a vegetarian. Many people have done that. And so I would move that dog more toward vegetarianism, and definitely if you're going to do the meat raw, but or at least something that has total nothing in it, no nitrates and nothing like that. But I would definitely try to move and dogs do like fruits, hate to say it, so whatever you can get your dog to do in that way, but count on the herbs to work and you'll pull this tumor out of this dog. It's about the size of a mandarin small apple, and let me tell you, you can pull it with black salve. Shave his hair and put black salve on there and pull that tumor right out of him. You can do that. Done it before. I took her to the vet and they aspirated the lump. Yeah, I mean, these are common lumps that dogs get. So you could do a little Can-X, which is a form of black salve available on the market, a little drawing salve, that sort of thing. But again, this goes back to your dog losing kidney filtration. And with dogs, since they don't have sweat glands like we do, they get the humps and the bumps. So, going after the kidneys is very, very important here. At first they couldn't see anything, but when they then tried again, it showed what they described as long or tubular cells. He suggested that since they are abnormal, it's a matter of finding out is it aggressive or non-aggressive cancer. You know what? This is his lymph system. It's going to take cells, of course, because that's interstitial. And interstitial, there's cells everywhere. So the bottom line is bloody, it's mucousy, that's lymph. And so this is all interstitial fluid. I would aspirate it the right way. In other words, get a black salve and pull it. But I would also work on the kidneys and adrenals of this dog. The next step being a biopsy and then chemo. God, even the vets fall stupid. I said no to that, as no, the chemo will just kill her, and that was da-da-da-da-da. The vet did tell me that usually it just makes things worse anyway. Oh! Excuse me. But I have to recommend it. Right. My dog, did have a very little small lump next to her teat a while back. Again, I have a little Shih Tzu, and they get these little lymphatic bumps all the time, and then they pop and pop. And then recently on our trip, he had a big one. I took him to a vet. But this was, I took him to the vet because the lady that cut the toenails forgot to cut one of the nails, and it went right into his foot. So I only aspirated the tumor, and we put a little salve, pulled it out, boom, done. But that's just what you have to do. But you have to go after the kidneys and adrenals. That'll keep these from appearing as much. It disappeared, and then I checked now and then. Yeah, I mean, and they'll pop out. You'll see them pop all over. The same thing with humans. Same thing. Going back to what they say in canines. Canines are traditionally weak in their kidneys. So then you have hip dysplasia. You just go right on with all the things that acidosis breeds in a human or an animal. Don't treat them much different than us. They're omnivores, but these are omnivores. You notice a dog is an omnivore, but you do not give a dog too much protein. Their poop, they have bloody stools. Their poop gets unformed. They got to have some veggies. Dogs are omnivores. And my golden retriever loved to eat the veggies along the herbs along the side of the road. Kept him balanced. Let me see. And a little cocker. Spaniel. Traditional with the little dogs to have these things. I don't know why the vet didn't tell you that. Still eats and drinks and wags her tail. Sweet little thing. Fix her. Don't lose her. Fix her. Whilst at the vet's, I agreed to do blood tests. I'm thinking the results that may help to know how to approach the healing. We should remember this is detoxification. We should get the full report within 3 days. Well, send it to us. We'll help you with that. Adelaide, appreciate that. And your little cockerel spaniel will be quite fine. Do the right things. Remember this on all your dogs and animals. I had a medical doctor call me once. He said, I raise llamas. Can you help them? I said, absolutely. Horses, we've done cows, snakes, hamsters. All life responds to the right foods. And we're genetically losing all our tissues like that, especially in the animals. Let me read this before I comment on that. Let's see, this is Aaron. Thank you for responding to my last email. Your info helped a lot. I have a few more questions about how things work after learning a bit more. First, what is the appendix for? The appendix has always been considered the lymph. So it's to me, it's a big lymph node of the colon, and maybe even of the whole GI tract. But this is a lymph organ, and you notice it does just like other lymph nodes. It can swell and pop, and that brings up an interesting question. The other concern we have, and I see this especially in those folks with the young man with psoriasis, the deterioration of the lymph nodes, like the deterioration of the appendix. It was thought it was a third stomach, blah, 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 or a second stomach, because, you get into the herbivores, you start getting to multiple stomachs. But we're of a frugivore clan, and I don't know that is real. It has always been considered a lymphatic tissue or lymph node tissue. Let me see. First one, okay. I've always been told that it is a useless organ, but I don't believe anything exactly. And it's always been a lymph organ to me. And filtration, you got to have filtration. And whenever you see, like when an appendix explodes, this is lymph, this is interstitial fluid. And that's what happens. And the concern again would be other lymph node tissues. Secondly, over the years, my wife and I talked about me getting a vasectomy, knowing what I've learned from you. Yeah, now, I've heard women getting their tubes tied. I know quite a few of them. They never seem to have any problems. With men, they gave a whole list of symptoms to get your tube, get a vasectomy. I don't know. My son just had it. We'll watch. But I don't know what to say about it. There's also been the yogas that have the reabsorption of semen, and I spent a lot of years as, what do they call it? Free from that. And so it does energize. That was also considered the analogy of Samson, and the cutting of the hair and all this, In other words, the loss of semen, the loss of energy, therefore the loss of stamina and vitality. So, a lot of monks go celibate and have celibacy in their thing, so the reabsorption of the vital fluids and stuff of the body. I don't know. You know what? I did that for a while. It's like, okay, but I like a little fun too. But with that said, I don't know about a vasectomy. It's concernful for sure, but like I said, I would really love to come up with an herbal formula that would be a nice birth control that didn't have any harm at all to it, and it didn't mess with the estrogen and the progesterone factors of the body. I don't know if it messes with testosterone and estrogen. I don't think so. Because I don't think in the testes you see that. You see it more in the prostate and the adrenals. So, again, I don't know. I don't know what to say with that one. Also, your new glycerin formulas. Oh, you like the new glycerin formulas? I like them too. Those, for some reason, our alcohol formulas are getting stronger. I took one the other day like this. I'm going, oh, whoa! I love them, though. I mean, they do work good. Now, with talking about antispasmodics, this young lady that we're working on, aged in her 20s, her dad told me that it takes up to 20 minutes to see an antispasmodic response with the glycerin, where only a 10-minute response or so with the alcohol, meaning that there must be some metabolism with the glycerins. So it's an interesting thought with that. Not that that has any thing other than saying an emergency with an antispasmodic. We've been taking the Fab 4 for a while now, and about a week after starting new formulas, my 10-year-old son and I started filtering in a serious way. Woo-hoo! And maybe this man that wrote to you hasn't filtered, maybe should go to the glycerins and try that. That is cool. And your young man started filtering. Well, you just did your 10-year-old son a great favor. You guys are incredible. I love you guys. Neither of us have ever been so excited to pee in a jar. Woohoo! And you know what? Rightly so. When you understand the seriousness of lack of filtration in the kidneys and the seriousness of what comes to the cells, woohoo is right. Right on. Good job, man. Aaron, congratulate you guys. See what I'm saying? You guys are all high spiritual beings. You guys are getting your acts together. You're getting your spirituality together. You're getting your kids together. You couldn't ask for anything more. You're all I've got. Before I sign off, I'd like to say that my wife and I cannot think, yeah, my love is back at you guys. Even our son is on the path to Wellville. Woo-hoo! Mutt Lang called me yesterday. We got a big kick out of that. Mutt Lang is a good friend of mine. I think some of you know him as our recording producer, but I sent him the Detox Blues and the Wellville. Got a good kick out of that. I got a good kick out of that too. I sent that to several producers because I thought, if we can infiltrate the music world with music like that, and these were done very well, I thought, and infiltrate the music world with songs like this, we're infiltrating the consciousness with a higher level of understanding of health and wellness. And I always thought, if we can promote groups like that to put out an album like that, I know she's making an album, that's going to help infiltrate and change the consciousness of this world and uplift it and help these suffering souls. And I think that is just all good stuff. I love you guys. We're all working together. I just love that. Thank you so much. Mark. This is Mark. First, thank you. Thank you for watching our videos too. I know we're kind of going back and forth between YouTube and Vimeo and all that, but when our website is finally done, we found someone to do it, and we just had a hard time finding good web designers. But I would like to have all the videos on my website so no one could mess with them. But they still could, I guess. I mean, now that we know the government is overreaching and spying on every little thing we do, oh my God, for those that live in America. I wonder what the Mexican president felt when he learned that we've been spying on him and the Brazilian. I was like, oh my God, shameful. Let me see. About 5. Thanks for watching the video. So they had a video marathon. About 5 months ago, I sun gazed for a period of 2 months at sunrise and sunset, but did so too intensely for too long, and I think I injured or damaged something in my brain on my eyes. You know what? I would use the eye wash both topically and internally. I would also, we have a Visioplex. It's a formula. I can't remember. It's one of the labs that makes it, but it has raw eye tissue. It has bilberry, of course. It has all of that in there. I'd probably use a formula like that for a little while. Again, using the eye wash twice a day. And then upper circ and brain and nerve, baby. And then at the same time, get those bowels cleaned up, get the adrenals up, the neurotransmitters and steroids up, get your kidneys filtering, and that's how you're going to fix that. You probably did burn some tissue. And then, of course, the nerves reflex the burn back to the central nervous system. But, do those things and you'll pull yourself out of that one. Result of that is that I've been feeling a constant pressure on and as well as inside my head. Ugh! That's again, we're back to the pressure thing, see? And this is the thing. Open up this bowel flow and this kidney flow and get these lower eliminative organs filtering. And at the same time, this will start draining. If you want to neti pot the sinuses with 3-lung tea or something, candle the ears. Try to get this pressure out of here. Try to have a good cold and flu-like symptom. Anything like that to open up this. And then use, like I said, the upper circ, brain and nerve. I would also use the eye wash, and maybe you want to get into some eye tissue, even though you're building up acidosis in the brain. And you want to get that out of there. I know, I love all these things like sun gazing, drinking all these gallons of water, eating all these high proteins. I mean, that's why I hope you guys realize I might be an old fuddy-duddy, but try to keep your world in balance and don't go too far one way or another way, because the side effects of some of these things aren't fun. That's why I'm very cautious, and that's why I'm cautious about recommending far infrared saunas, things like this that create isolated forms of magnetics. Oh, you hear all the good stuff about them, but people who have product like to write all kinds of things. And in advertising, I guess you can say anything you want now, true or not. So I feel for you there, man, but you can get this out of here. Now, I'm also feeling disconnected from my body, even in my head. Cerebellum, man. Cerebellum, parasympathetic, going back to the autonomic, of course, and going right back to the adrenal glands. So you're going to fix that, clean the GI tract. This will reach sympathetic, parasympathetic. This will reach both. This will reach the solar plexus, stomach, gut area. It'll reach back up the cerebellum, and it'll reach back to the kidneys and adrenals. So those would be the ways I would go after that. Big time memory loss, difficult thinking. Boy, that sun gazing wasn't worth it, was it? Holy crap, you poor guy. Anxiety, cannot breathe. Yeah, you got too acidic. So you suppressed your nervous system, which was already probably suppressed a little bit. So again, get after those adrenal glands. I'd definitely pop some adrenal glandulars, just saying. And you might even suppress your pituitary gland doing that. And depression, that's what I'm thinking. So I'd probably do a pituitary glandular one twice a day and do one bottle just to kick everything up. Definitely get on the adrenals, get the kidneys filtering, get the GI tract cleaned up, upper circ, brain and nerve. Can't overstate those two. And then I would do the eye washes and stuff like that. Yeah, I know it, man. I tell you what, this is the problem with these things. Maybe if you were healthier and you already didn't have high acidosis in these tissues, you might not have felt this. But remember, this is on top. And these people that recommend this stuff, they don't understand the human body. They don't understand what people are suffering with right now. They don't understand the extreme interstitial lymphatic constipation, the extreme acidosis interstitially that most people are already at. Add high acidosis on top of that, and burn, baby, burn. And it sounds like what you did. And so what happens is suppression of all the cells. And that's what happened. And this is the nervous systems. And you're seeing all neurological, from breathing, and that's autonomic, to all of that. And then the pituitary could shut down the rest of your endos. The thyroid, parathyroid, so the depression comes in, all these things like that. Detoxification, regeneration of cells is really my only option here. Absolutely. That's why I'm saying to you guys, the golden key. I tell you, if it was something else, I'd tell you. But I tell you, I've learned through all these years and working with cases like this that, cut off the crap. We don't have time to play in the fields of dreams. We want actualities and what works, so you're absolutely right. I'm wondering if the electromagnetic of fruits, herbs, lemons, fast, combined with the water, now you're getting it, now you're getting it, now you're getting it. Use the herbs, upper circ, brain nerve, now you're getting it, absolutely. The good news is that the brain and nerve 1, upper circulation, adrenals, you're already doing it. That's on the way. Aha, absolutely. Oh, good. I should read these things before, right? I've started eating raw 5 months ago. You're right on with the fruits and the berries and the melons. Stay high with that. Matter of fact, I'm going home in a minute and have some watermelon. Woo! I found some good watermelon. $10 a piece. But they are good. I started eating raw 5 months ago and took a break of a month and a half, and now I'm back. He's back, guys. Mark, he's back. Quebec, Canada. Oh, here's Carlos in Kissimmee, Florida. Questions about malabsorption. Greetings, Doc. Greetings, Carlos. I recently took a look at my eyes and saw the ring around the pupil. Yeah, which means a malabsorption, correct? Absolutely. You guys are good. I love you guys. You know what? Isn't that iridology a simple science? You don't have to go through doctor appointments and all this crap and all the crap. You know exactly what's up. You guys are good. And what a simple science. We can teach it to everybody. We can teach it in grade school. Hey, kids, look at your eye. Look how it relates to the body. These should be classes. Classes on raw food eating. Classes on the human body and the sewer system in it. Especially in Montessori schooling, you would think. Yeah, malabsorption when I eat fruit. Tired, feel hungry very quickly. That's possible. And also remember, there's no punch to fruits. I mean, it's not stimulants. They're just energetic hounds. Excuse me, they're not stimulants. So you could be filling your adrenals right now. And with malabsorption, you're not getting a nutrients in. So that's a low. And absolutely. This is a big deal here. Absolutely. See if you have chronic bowels around there or sulfur. Use the GI broom. That GI broom, it's just a broom in the bowels, baby. And get that cleaned out of there. Absolutely. I didn't eat meat other than some shrimp here and there. That's all right. That's no big deal. And so I'm not sure if I'm ingesting any neurotransmitters. Well, if you're only eating a few shrimp now and then, you're probably not ingesting any neurotransmitters except when you eat the shrimp. So, you're probably check your blood pressure, both arms, and see where you're at with that. Look at your eyes and the adrenals, and I can say it doesn't matter. You can always get up the adrenals. It never hurts to get your hands. Check your urine, make sure you're filtering. That's key because you can't fix malabsorption until you fix filtration because we're talking about interstitial lymphatic constipation. What else is interstitial? Case closed. Thanks, Carlos. Kissimmee. That's up near the Mickey World. I like to go to Mickey World and live in another world for a while. I used to camp at Fort Wilderness. I love that up there. Great video. I would love to hear information on polycystic ovarian syndrome. Sweetheart, what a beautiful name you took on there, sweetheart. I have a tendency to call ladies sweethearts because I think the female principle is needs that. We have disrespected the female principle on this planet entirely too much. That is the alkaline healing principle, and without it, man would be not good. You wouldn't want to go to a planet with all men. Now, polycystic ovarian syndrome. We've done videos on that before, but I can tell you, sweetheart, this is all your kidneys and adrenals, and get that out of there because the next thing is endometriosis, fibroids, atypical cells vaginally, and it just goes on and on and on and on. This is a adrenal kidney issue. You're not filtering properly, and get that done. Make sure your periods are on time and regular because you want a good pituitary. And if that's not, work with the female reproductive formula. I would also definitely get into the adrenals and the kidneys and get myself filtering. That'll keep that lymph system from popping cysts all over yourself. And it'll keep endometriosis out and all that implies systemically. That's simple. This is Mark. I keep getting about 120 over 80. That means my adrenals are not bad, but my kidneys need work. Okay, Mark, now look at this. Beautiful picture, by the way. Godly one. Oh, I love the light. Oh, the light is so lacking down here. The only way I see the light is through you guys. I keep getting about 120 over 80. Let's take the 80 down to 60 where it should be and subtract 20 from 120. What do you get? 100. Definitely weak adrenals. 80 is a medical thinking, and not anymore. They reduced it to 75, but then they reduced the systolic to 115. No, I worked on and followed this. We do blood pressures on everyone. And I followed this for 43 years. And I can only tell you that a healthy body yields 120 to 130 on the top, 60 to 70 on the bottom. 80's too high. Bring that 80 down to 60, and you taking the 120 on down to 100, my friend. Get your kidneys filtering, you're going to see your systolic dropping. And that's weak adrenals. Weak adrenals. Your kidneys are pushing your adrenals up to 120, which is where they should be normally without that push. Hey, Dan Drum. Dan Drumman. I agree, Doc. I have the same values that you seem to have. I have moved to Florida and hope to meet you one day. It'll be a pleasure, Dan. I currently have MS, but I understand how to cure it. Good. And you go after that. And that's what I'm saying. And then I'm telling you, 100% fruit. Get hypercirc brain and nerve. Go after those adrenals aggressively. If you got brain lesions, you got to move lymph out of that head, get that inflammation out of the cerebellum, and you're on the road to Wellville, baby. I enjoy all your videos. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And thank you, Dan. Absolutely. Nobody take anything they have as something that's a permanent fixture, because that's ridiculous. Now, we're going almost a 2.5 hour video. Hope, guys, you don't get mad at me. I'm going to have to call it quits here, though, but it's sure been a pleasure, and we'll finish up with a lot of these questions, hopefully the first of the week. But don't take anything you have as something you can't get rid of. There's no such thing as can't. My parents used to drum that into me. There's no such thing as can't. It might take work, but what else do you have to do? And maybe you were sent here to do this work so you will blossom spiritually to help others. Because right now, the help on this planet is needed a whole lot. So thank you for letting me into your space and viewing these videos and helping yourselves. It is with great love and admiration of each and every one of you that I have. And it's a blessing to be here to help you. So let's keep working together and let's get everybody well and our kids. And may the blessings be, and namaste, and God bless everyone. And let's have a healthy and fun time while we can here, if we can. So I'll see you again in the light. And watch your dreams, by the way. You never know who might appear. Bye-bye now.